So I'm back, and as promised, we did 25 problems last time dealing with exponents. Now we're going to do 25 more problems dealing with exponents. 25 more exponent problems. Okay. Once again, don't forget to like and subscribe if you appreciate this content. So problem 26. Problem 26. So let's say we have 3x cubed divided by 3 squared y to the negative 8 w to the power 0. So first of all, w to the power 0, that's going to be 1. And then we notice that our 3 here is here and it's here as well. So this gives us 3 at the bottom. So what we're left with is really x cubed divided by 3 to the power y to the negative 8 divided by y to the power negative 8 or minus 8. And then, of course, since we want all powers to be positive, we have to put that y factor with its power on top. So our answer becomes this. And that's the answer for problem 26. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing I did in the first video, namely that I'm going to allow you to answer the question before I do. So let's move on to problem 27. So problem 27, I have this as y to the power negative 9 divided by x to the power negative 4. And then this is simply a flipping of the values so that they become positive. So you have x to the 4th power, y to the 9th power. That's basically our answer here. Okay, I'm going to erase the title so I have more space. Maybe I can do 2 problems at once. So problem 28 is given as negative 5 y to the 4th power, and the question is, what is it equal to? So I'll give you a chance here. Okay, the negative remains. It's negative 4 here, sorry. Yeah, because so it's negative 5 and then y to the power 4. That's our answer right here. So remember, the negative powers become the reciprocal. Problem 29. Let's say we have negative 5, all that squared, and then y to the negative 4 equals what? Okay, so since the negative 5 is raised to the 2nd power, then our negative will disappear. So we're going to have 5 squared, which is 25, basically, positive. And then same thing as in problem 28, we're going to take the reciprocal of the negative exponent, and that becomes our answer. Okay. All right, that was 29. So number 30, we take 3x to the power negative 2, and then y to the 6, right? And we don't want any negative powers, so this is just a case, really the only thing we have to change is that x squared, right? So it becomes 3 divided by x squared y to the 6, and that's really a 6 here. Let me erase that and write that properly. Okay, so that's it for 30. 31, let me erase that. 31, problem 31. Okay, what do I have here? What if I have y to the 7th power and x to the negative 8th power equals what? Okay, of course, it becomes, we just take the reciprocal, is essentially all we're doing there, and we end up having x to the 8th, y to the 7th. Okay, it's just that. That's problem 31. Problem 32. Let's say we have 5 over x to the power negative 5. It just becomes 5x to the 5th power. Okay, those are fairly simple problems, so I'm not spending much time with them or giving you much opportunity, because at this point you should do them fairly quickly and without hesitation as well. Okay, so problem 33 is given as simply b to the negative 8th power. How do you solve that? It becomes 1 over b8, b to the 8th power. That's our answer. Okay, and then we're going to do problem 34. Let's see what the problem statement is for that. Let's see, this is a little bit more involved. So 5 to the power negative 3, and then we have minus 4x to the power negative 2. What is that equal to? So once again, we want to get rid of the negative exponents. It's essentially our goal here. So at that point, we take the reciprocal. So for the 5, it obviously becomes 5 cubed. And then what do we do with the thing at the bottom? So we also take the reciprocal, so it becomes negative 4x, all of that squared. Okay, so now negative 4 squared, that gives us 16. X squared is just x squared, and then divided by I think it's 125. 25 times 5, 2, 125. Okay, so divided by 125. Okay, 125. Okay, you could put it in different ways, but you can actually divide 16 by 125. I'm not doing that. I'm leaving it in this form, which is fine for our purposes of dealing with exponents. That's number 34. So we have about 16 more problems to go. Then 35, right? I have here x y to the power negative 4. What is that equal to? and it's going to be equal to x y to the power 4. Okay, that's 35. Now 36. Let's say we have a to the power negative 5, b to the power negative 2, and c to the power 3. What is that going to be equal to? And once again, we want to get rid of the negative exponents. So we're going to have c cubed, going to have a to the 5th power, and then b to the 2nd power. Of course, we put things in order A, B, C so that it's tidier. Problem 37. Let's say we have m squared n to the power negative 9. All of that divided by n to the power negative 3. What is that going to be equal to? So by now we should be fairly comfortable with the negative exponents. So anyway, I'm going to put it as m squared, and then n to the negative 9, and then we're going to minus that negative exponent, which is minus 3 here. So that's going to be equal to m squared n minus 9 plus 3, negative 6. And so we're not done yet because we still have a negative exponent. The answer actually is this, n to the 6. So it's m squared divided by n to the 6th power. Okay. Is actually the answer. So let me put it cleanly because that division may not be clear to you. For 37, the answer is m squared divided by n to the 6th power. Okay, that's the answer for 37. Now for moving on to 38. Okay, let's see, we have 3a to the negative 5. Of course, this is 3a to the 5th. Simple as that. 39. Okay. 39. Let's say we have 6x to the power negative 2 divided by d, that's d as in delta, power negative 3, x to the 5th, right? What is that equal to? So once again, we have x both in the numerator and the denominator. So when that happens, the x's are going to be dealt with separately. So the power in the numerator the power in the denominator has to be subtracted from the power in the denominator. So our 6 remains, that's fine. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and flip the d so that it goes to the top, and then I'm going to deal with the x's. Okay, and since everything is on top now, I'm just going to say this is all divided by 1. Okay, so moving on to, can't quite get that. Okay, I'll just do it this way. So our x's, it's x to the power negative 2 minus 5. That's the total power for x. Therefore, we're going to have 6 d cubed x to the negative 7. But we also know that x to the negative 7 isn't the form we need because we need positive powers. So It's going to be this. The answer to 39 is going to be this right here. Okay, 39 is that. So moving on to problem 40. 39. Moving on to problem 40. Okay, so problem 40. Let's say we have 6r, as in Romeo, to the power negative 4. Okay, and then we have here 12r to the power negative 5, s to the power negative 1. Okay, once again we have r here, which is on top and at the bottom in the numerator and the denominator, so we've got to deal with that situation. So let's deal with that apart. So r in total is going to be r to the power negative 4 minus 5. So it's going to be r negative 4 plus 5. Oh, 4 plus 5. Okay, anyway, let me take just... So just dealing with r's, we have negative 4 plus 5, which is the same thing as r to the power 1, which is r itself. So the r's are done, they yield just r, and so we're left with, for 40, we have 6r divided by 12 s minus 1. And once again, because of the negative power in the s, it's going to be 6rs divided by 12. And of course 6 is divisible by 12, so we're going to have, in fact, rs divided by 2. That's our cleaned up answer here for number 40. Moving on to number 41. Okay, so the problem statement is as this. It's 3x to the power negative 6, z to the power 3, okay, and then y to the power negative 5, all of that divided by 24. All of that divided by 24. So at any rate, this is divisible by 24. This becomes 8. And then the negative powers exponents will be, we'll take the reciprocal. So we're left with, my 8 is here. And then we're going to have x to the 6th power, y to the 5th power, and then our z remains, and that's it. That's 41. Moving on to 42. Problem 42. Okay, what is the problem statement there? I have 8a to the power negative 3, b squared, c to the power negative 2. What is that equal to? We want all positive exponents in that sense. So it's going to be equal to 8a, okay, anyway, 8 is going to be the only thing remaining on top, since it has essentially power 1. The rest is going to be in this way, squared, c squared. Okay, this is the answer to that, to problem 42, or example 42. And of course 43. 43. The problem is 15 s to the power -9 t to the power -5 s to the power 6 t to the power 4. So the answer to that is going to be our 15 remains, -9 for s, so the s's are there, they're both there, actually, just, yeah. So it's going to be -9, -6, so it's -15. S 15, and then -5, -4 is going to be t -9, because it's -5, -4. So therefore the total answer is going to be 15 divided by s to the power 15 t to the power 9. That's the total answer for 43. And then after 43 we have 44. The problem there is given as -7p to the power -5. Then we have q to the power -3, and then r squared. Okay, so the power is negative, so it doesn't really matter at that point. The negative then remains on the 7. Okay, no, I'm not going to do it just that, because I need to flip the thing anyway. So r squared remains -7p to the 5th power comes here, and then q to the 3rd power comes here. There's the stuff there. Okay, and then what I was saying earlier, so the negative remains, it could be assigned either to the denominator or to the whole fraction, really. So it's negative r squared, 7 to the 5th power, p to the 5th power, and then q cubed. That's the total answer for this particular problem 44. Okay, so problem 45. Let's see, we have d to the power -4, and then e to the power -7. So basically we flip everything, right? So it becomes e7 d to the 4th power. Okay, just the flipping of the, so 45. This leads us to 46. 46, the statement is as 3 squared m to the -5 n to the 5th power, let's say 81 n to the -8 power. Okay, so 3 squared is 9. Okay, 9 is divisible by 81, so the 81 goes away, it simply becomes 9. The m is flipped, it becomes m to the 5th power, and then 5 minus -8 is n13, the power 13. and this becomes our complete answer with all positive exponents. 47. Problem 47 is given as a squared b to the power negative 5 c to the power negative 2 and d to the power negative 3. A, B, C, D. So, well, we just take the reciprocal where appropriate and leave everything else alone as is. So B will become b to the 5th power, C will go up, and D will go up as well. This is supposed to be a 3 here. Okay, this is 3. Okay, so that's our total answer there. Pretty quick in that sense. That was 47. So 48, let's see what 48 has for us. 48. So for 48, the problem statement is 5p to the 4th power, all of that squared, and then that multiplied by 5p cubed, all of that squared. Okay, so we have a multiplication, we have a power of a power, we have a lot of things going on here. So what I'm going to do is just separate things. So I know that this thing here is going to be 5 squared p to the power 8, because it becomes 4 times 2. And then the other is going to be 5 squared and p to the power 6. Okay, then 2 plus 2, so it's 5 to the power 4. Yeah, 5 to the power 4, and then p to the power 8 plus 4, that's 14. Right, so that's pretty much it. Now, with regards to what 5 to the 4th power is, let me do the quick calculation here. 25 times 5, that's 125. 125 times 5, so 5 to 10 to 1. So of course 625, or yeah, it's a better answer. So the answer could be given as 625 p to the 14th power. Let me erase all that stuff so that I put it clearly. The answer is 625 p to the 14th power. It's the same thing as I wrote before, just I made it clear what 5 to the 4th power is. Okay, that's 48. Let's look at 49. The problem statement is 14 w to the 5th power, v to the negative 8 power, all of that squared, divided by 28. Okay, 14 w to the 5th power, v to the negative 8, all of that squared, divided by 28. So it becomes 196, which is 14 squared. 14 times 14, let me double check that. 6, 1, 56, 4, 1. Okay, yes, it's 196. So that's that. 14 squared, and then w to the 10. Okay, w to the 10 power, and then v to the negative 16. Right? Now that divided by 28. And if you divide 186 by 28, you get 7. Okay, and then you get your w to the 10th power, and of course the v comes to the bottom, and then that's what you're left with. Okay, that's 49. And then lastly, of course, we're going to do the 50th question, which becomes 2 x to the 5th power y negative 1, and then w to the 15th power, and then x to the negative 5 y cubed. Okay, what is that equal to? So the 2, nothing happens to it. Okay, so I can cross that out. The x's, we have x 5 to the 5th power divided by x to the negative 5th power. So the powers will subtract the numerator power from the denominator power. So I get x to the 10th power. The x's are dealt with. Y negative 1, negative 3. So it's y to the negative 4. And then I have my w to the 15th power. That remains. And then in total, when everything is cleaned up, becomes this y to the 4th, right? Okay, thank you so much for watching and following these now 50 problems that we've dealt with. Once again, if you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Have a good day.